this time because, shockingly enough, Lord Doomcock came in and decided to grace us with his all-knowing, all-seeing presence. Ha ha ha. If he's watching. Anyway, wanted to talk a little bit more about the rumor that Mike Sutton at Geekosity magazine put out there. I'm not going to go into who he hangs out with and his connections. I do want to talk a little bit about the war going on. And the fact that when you're dealing with something like this, there will be rumors, really ugly ones, coming from all directions. Doomcock mentioned this. The fact that this was reported as of, hey, oh, thank you, Jeremy. The fact that this was reported even makes me ask questions. Hey, Deborah, and the reason is this: it is not couched as a rumor by the person. Oh, that Kennedy's going to be resigned to another contract extension. I'd like it. I really wish Craig or a couple or Euler Greg would show up and kind of help enlighten people. This is, you don't do this way. When Doomcock or me say this is a rumor, I'm not saying this is true. The way this was couched by the person, Mike Sutton, putting it out there is that it's true. He went on pop culture minefield and made a very definite statement. I'm still waiting for this thing to show up so I can actually read it. Weirdly, in some ways, it mirrors some of the things Doomcock has been saying, that Kennedy will be re-signed, but she will not have any real power at Lucasfilm anymore. Okay, so why are we all freaking out? Okay, there's a time to freak out and there's a time not to. How about we all sit down and think a little bit before we lose our shit, okay? But he didn't dig. He didn't, and he also didn't present it as a rumor. I've looked into this, and there are lots of times when people get into the journalistic profession and truly they start believing that they're God on earth. They really, really do. Everything they say is above board and whatever. This sounds like it's coming from Kennedy's own desk. It sounds like the Reddit leak. She could be kicked upstairs in Disney and never touch Lucasfilm again. When I look at how it appears that they're restructuring. Oh, hey, Dave. It appears that they may not even hire another president for Lucasfilm, and that Dave and John and Mohsen Gupta are just going to run it and do what they have to, and there won't be any top leader. Because if you really think about it, Mohsen Gupta is doing Kennedy's job. If you really look at it, so is Dave Filoni now. So what's the point? She's redundant. She's a very expensive redundancy too. And right now, Disney, to a lot of park goers' anger, is trying to save money and trying to get some more return. And it's causing a lot of trouble with the parks and everything, but I want to get into it because I don't know. I'm not a parks person. I've only ever been to Disneyland once in my life. Thought about it when we lived in Florida because we lived in Tampa, and then thought no. Actually, Universal, because of the Halloween stuff they had going on there, looked a lot more fun because it was a little more intense. But anyway, here's the thing. If you're going to put something as a rumor, it needs to be couched in a rumor. That's why Andre says, take this with a heaping grain of salt. That's why Doomcock says it. That's why I say it, okay? Sutton posts a rumor, says it's true. You see where I have a problem? All right. This is why I'm pretty sure it's bullshit. He didn't acknowledge in any way, shape, or form that this is 180 degrees opposite of what Chapek is doing. He does not acknowledge anything that's going on at Lucasfilm. Again, Sengupta and Filoni. And it's very interesting to me. Now, there's some other things. I'm not going to talk about who he hangs out with or anything like that. But it's really insulting to me, I think, to have this kind of thing just tossed out there when right now we're on the cusp of going into September. 2 months away from hopefully the bitch getting the boot. And this stuff starts happening. This is the thing. The only thing that would keep her on, even for like till next summer, is probably Indy 5. They're going into October, hopefully to finish. They might go all the way into November. Somebody recently sent me a picture of Harrison Ford again on an aircraft going somewhere with a bunch of what looked to be British Airways stewards. And I'm, it's like, okay, what's going on here? So that might necessarily keep her there longer, but I don't necessarily see her having to be president of Lucasfilm in order to produce this movie. Okay. But again, the whole saving face, as Cameron likes to say, is a big deal. It is a really big deal. And, these people in Hollywood, though they really don't have the power they think they do, all the investors have to do is just yank their money. And they won't have any money. They can't. They can't produce a lot of this stuff on their own. Where are they going to get hundreds of millions of dollars? Okay? They're not. All right? Most of these people are worth around what it costs to make to make a movie. That's about what they're worth. Do they? I don't. If she's a producer, no. No, if she's a producer, I really don't think that she needs to be re-signed as, president of Lucasfilm. It doesn't make any sense. She doesn't have any real power to okay any movies anyway, except for this one. Okay, and it's in production right now. So the thing about it is this. The way that people are acting, they're acting like it's true. It's a rumor, a giant grain of salt. Go on Doomcocks comments and people are acting like it's true. It's like, didn't you hear Andre say it was a rumor? Didn't you hear Doomcock say it's a rumor? We must be cautious, as Obi-Wan would say. I talk about the rumors too because when you look at the news, when you look at actual legit sources, they're pretty much, without directly saying it, this is happening. But you have to be someone who doesn't need things drawn for them in crayon to understand it. It's reading between the lines. It's all this stuff. Now, if you hung out with the woke people, you're not woke, but you hang out with them, it might affect your thinking. You might become careless if you believe your own press. You might want to put stuff up just for clickbait, which a lot of times people do that. You might want to get attention. And then, of course, there's this. Doomcock did mention the malicious rumors, rumor mill. This is what's going to happen all the way up into August, okay? Or in October. because again, it reads, again, like I said earlier today, like Anthony Weiner. Oh, he's great. We'd never ask him to resign. He's a great congressman, blah, blah, blah. 2 days later, Andrew Breitbart's at the press conference Weiner himself should have been at, taking questions from the reporters. And Andrew Breitbart was the one that outed him as a pervert. Okay? That's what this is. That's exactly what this is. Right? Again, we must be cautious. But here's the deal. Indy 5 is still going to be filming. Does she need to be president of Lucasfilm to finish it? Now, it might be in her contract. So it might be a natural extension till at least principal photography is over. Okay, until they're, popping the corks on the Dom Perignon bottles and saying where it's a wrap. All right. It might be that way. Okay, I do strongly feel like Indy 5 was the last thing she wanted to do before she left. It's a big deal to her. That was the first. Raiders of the Lost Ark was the first movie she was ever a producer in. And I'm hoping somewhere in her pointed little head that she's realizing she makes a better producer than she does a studio head. Because that's a big, big, big job. And you have to be 5 different places at once. You can't just ignore things. Hey, Vader fanatic, you can't just let things go, as we've seen her do with Solo. Now people were saying, well, maybe she'll just fart around with the High Republic and the Acolyte. How much money is Disney willing to part with before they say enough is enough with that garbage? Okay. Is there any clamor by the fans to see the Acolyte? No, there isn't. We saw Leslie Headland do her interpretive dance to get attention for it. Then we saw Patty Jenkins do her interpretive dance to get attention for Rogue Squadron. No words since then, okay? This is about budgeting. This is about restructuring. This is about what is good for the company. And in the end, none of that's good for the company because no one wants it. I mean, yeah, people complaining about rocks. And it's like, and they think that's the way Star Wars is going. And they, it's like, no. First off, it's the High Republic is a total failure. And if anybody knows it, it's Chapek because he's a money guy. Okay, and when you look at it, they're not making any money for that. I mean, I said this on Culture Casino today. I can walk into a Target and see the same High Republic books that have been sitting out there since they were published. Okay, and I'm going to say this. I predicted this, and I'm right. 2 years, those books will be at Ollie's. Okay, it'll be a big buyout, and some collector will see them there for like $2 a piece and buy them. That is just how it's going to go. All right, just like the Rey figures that look like they came right out of a box from Hasbro. Okay, that's what it is. All right, this is an indictment of Kennedy, etc., etc. Now, Sutton did mention the fact that they're going to cite her success with all the Star Wars movies. And, oh God, there's something else that was just so stupid I couldn't. And I'm like, no, I mean, you're looking straight through it. And to me, this looks exactly like now, I'm sure, what Doomcock was warned about, that there will be rumors like this out there. Because it's getting close, and they want to put turmoil in the fandom. But I have to tell you this: when you've got Pablo Hidalgo himself saying After 20 years, I have no plans and I don't know what hers are, her being Kennedy. That's a big, 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 big statement. Now, you might need crayon and for me to explain it to you what that means. But when you look at the subtext, it says, I'm leaving or I'm out, and she is on her way out too. That's exactly what that says. Okay? I mean, he has said himself, they're not, they don't have any, the story group doesn't have anything in the pot. All they've got is promoting what's been done for the High Republic. That's it. That's it. And, you know, these new Crimson Dawn crappy comic books that are coming out that I predict will be at Ollie's in a few years. You know, starring Icky Queera, and it's like, no, you know, but those books have been in you know the process for a long time now. If you got to remember that when they started the High Republic, that was we were told about that 2 years ago. And that Project Luminous, remember that? That was started at least 5 years ago. So there's going to be loads of crap coming out that came out under the Iger Kennedy era. And it's going to be coming out for a while still. Okay. They're not going to cancel it. They should have. But it's too late. So they're going to print it up. It's not going to sell. And it'll go away. That's exactly what's going to happen. To the people who are, again, who are thinking this is true, look, you can't couch a rumor and say it's verifiable. He's the High Krypton. He's the only person out there that's reporting this. No one else is. I have been told, you know, by people that it's bullshit and don't believe it. If they do keep her, and I want to caution you and Doomcock if he's watching, that even if she gets a short-term contract to finish up Indy 5, it doesn't matter. It's over. She's done. Okay? So, and in some ways, Sutton is echoing Doomcock. All right? Now, there are people out there, the usual suspects at that bigger channel, and the podcaster, who will act like it's some sort of victory for them. It's not. Because a 1-year contract, or, I mean, she could retire after that anytime she wants. Indy 5 is supposed to drop on the 22nd of July. We could get her retirement that day. Or she doesn't get a contract extension in October. In retrospect, the fact is that anything right now that Lucasfilm is doing is all Favreau and Filoni. That's it. That's what they're doing. And we also have to remember that. To the people who are bitching and moaning about Gina, she's not Star Wars, and you're putting too much importance on her. It's not like they wronged Mark Hamill or Carrie Fisher or Harrison Ford. They wouldn't dare. I mean, they would never do. No. You want a big dog in Hollywood, that's him. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they wronged them, or even Tamara Morrison, who's been a mainstay, or Ian McDermott, or Hayden. Well, they have wronged Hayden. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you guys are putting a lot of importance on her. Granted, I ranted and raved when she got told they didn't want her back. But, in retrospect, we have to remember something here. She's one character. She's not a character that can't be recast. There are probably lots of women out there. There's actually a rumor I saw somebody mention, oh God, I can't remember where. I think it was in the media comments that they're recasting Cara Dune. And that sounds like it's a a rumor started by the same people that started this rumor. Okay. It's just very, we have to be careful. Sutton wasn't careful. Hey, Bone. I mean, the guy might be nice. I don't know. But you can't drop a rumor and act like it's real, like it's actual news. You don't do that. I can't imagine any reporter from, God, when I was a kid, doing that. I mean, we saw, you see what happens to reporters, or saw what happened to reporters that reported things wrongly and got the information wrong. They got fired because they didn't do their due diligence. This thing has a hallmark of lazy reporting, as if somebody just plucked a bunch of stuff out of the ether and pasted it together and gave it to him, and he just put it out there. Yes, I do question his methods, and the reason is this: he did not couch it as a rumor. He called it a scoop. It's not a scoop; it's a rumor. A scoop is getting a piece of verifiable information from somebody that works at the White House but isn't part of the administration, saying Joe Biden is announcing his resignation tomorrow at 2. Okay, you have to be careful with that too, by the way. All right, but that is a scoop. Going blah 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 said blah blah blah, so the blah 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 is happening. That's my scoop. Not a scoop. You're reporting hearsay and a rumor. That's not how you do it. It's not ethical, at least, to call it a scoop when it's not. And I think that was one of the things that Doomcock kind of reiterated, far stronger than I did. But he's right. He's right. He always says, grain of salt. Take this with a grain of salt. And he's the guy that broke what was in The Rise of Skywalker. He's the one that's got that connection. And a lot of this stuff, and we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. But I can't imagine the bosses at Disney being happy with any of this. And the idea that she's so stuck in her spot that she'll never leave, that's just, is that a Wokistanian posting wishful thinking? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe it's just someone who doesn't really care about what he says out there, isn't going to be ethical about following it up and making sure it's airtight, and daring to call a piece of hearsay evidence in a rumor a scoop. It's not. It's not. And it's too bad, because what this does is it's clickbait. And I hate that stuff. B, it hurts the fans. You're not presenting the truth. You're not presenting the facts, which is what you should be doing. You're saying something that is not verifiable by any means, and you're the only one doing it as the truth. When I look at something and I hear it from more than one place, I'm going to dig further. I'm going to analyze it as best I can. I'm going to see if there's anything in the actual legit news that kind of backs up what this might be about. And only then will I say, I think it's about 50%, 50-50, this is true or not. And, that's the way you have to do things. You can't just, if you're reporting stuff that really you can't verify. But if you hear it from more than one source, then you better take it a little more seriously. Sutton is the only person who's ever said this, reported this anywhere. And granted, he's been right about some stuff in Marvel, but he's 45% to 55% right, that's not a good batting average. It really isn't. You know, it really, I mean, it really blows my mind that people don't question certain people in this kind of thing that we're doing. They question Doomcock all the time, and he's like, "It's a rumor. I just reported a rumor." You know what that word means? But if someone was successful once, oh, okay, he's right. It's true. It's like, it's a rumor. He didn't present it as a rumor, but it's a rumor. Okay. So who's not being honest here? All right. And yes, I am questioning that because I don't like what it's doing to the fans. I think you owe your subscribers, you owe the channels that you work with to be honest and say, and say, this is a rumor. I was told this. I weighed it up against a lot of the stuff that's been out there. I give it like a 30% chance of being true. Which is what you do. But he presented it as a fact. Now, a lot of people out there, they get one success or two.
Going to the drugstore.
What?
Going to the drugstore.
Okay, all right. They present, they start to believe their own press. We've got people, who've done really dumb things on Twitter, but they're heroes. You're not a hero. Starting a Twitter fight doesn't make you a hero. It makes you an idiot. It makes you look like a fool. Cool people don't go on Twitter. Please someone tell Mark Hamill that. You can't believe your own press. You gotta be humble. You gotta be, it'll make you work harder. Okay? It'll make you work harder. Vince Lombardi told his players, you will never reach perfection, but you will reach excellence. And that's what anybody who is connected to all this stuff, who is reporting on all this stuff, should think every time he's handed a bit of information that might be incendiary, and this is. But again, I don't really believe the fans are cared for in this instance. They're not being served here. They're not being regarded. I think when Andre did his video, he was very careful, and he was on in the chat saying this is a rumor. Because I am just like everybody else. I will do a knee-jerk reaction. Okay, I will do a knee-jerk reaction in a heartbeat over stuff like this. But then I caution myself because I can't really, when you realize, oh, it's a rumor. Oh, okay, it's a rumor. So why am I upset now? What's this about? So, I want to caution you guys about believing this. It's one place, one guy who had a couple of successes in reporting something. But I'm going to also say this. The Brie Larson thing, everybody knows can happen. And there are a couple other things too, but it's not, you start believing your own press, you get lazy. You start to assume things about yourself and your talent that aren't true. You start taking your fans and friends and colleagues for granted. And you can't do that. You can't. That's why I really, really, really am looking at this and cringing. Because, again, look, this is how I do things. I look at it the way the CIA gathers intelligence. Now, the CIA, you have, your station chief. He's at the embassy, and you might have a guy walk in and say, "This is going to happen. Terrorist attack." And then you get some signal intelligence kind of giving more depth to this bit of intelligence. You hear something more from this, and then an actual contact you've developed comes in and says, "I've heard this, 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 and this." Okay. It might not be the same story, but it is. It's said in different perspectives. So you start fomenting, or you start creating an action plan. You start creating a brief to your boss saying, "I was told this, here's where I got this all from. What are we going to do about it?" Look at how they found bin Laden. If you want to see a movie that really kind of hits you right in the face, Zero Dark 30. Okay. They let him sit in that house in Pakistan for years. And I'm going to tell you something. U.S. intelligence knew he was there. They knew there was something off about that place. They knew he was there. And they sat on it. They sat on it because the leaders were politically unwilling to go and do it. All right. And finally talked a certain president into actually doing, what should have been done in 2007 when George W. Bush was president. Still. Because that's when they found bin Laden. They knew he was there in 2007. Okay. You understand? This is, you take little bits of information and you start building a case. Sutton did not do that. He just put this stuff out there. It's true. How do you know? Where's the evidence? How come we're not hearing it anywhere else? See? This is why he should have said, "This is a rumor." In fact, if he wants to keep his reputation intact, he would do that. Instead, he looks like People magazine or Star. Yeah, it's pieces of a puzzle. Right now, we've got all kinds of stuff about Kennedy leaving, Favreau. We've got what's obvious. Let's go through what's obvious. The Forbes story about Gina. The first Variety article that came out. The Atlantic article that came out. Hell, the Business Insider article that came out. Okay? All say similar things. That Chapek doesn't want to give people like Kennedy multi-year contracts anymore. There's one. What Sutton did, he completely ignored it. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't even know it existed. That stuff existed. And that is not good reporting. If you're not going to acknowledge and ask your source, this, and this came out. We've got Baloney getting a huge promotion. We got this new girl, Mohsen Gupta, doing Kennedy's job. So what's she going to be doing? He said she won't be doing anything. So then I would, if I were him, I'd ask, this doesn't make any sense. Again, why would she want to go back to Lucasfilm in any way, shape, or form if all she's going to be doing is occupying a desk, earning a lot of money? But why? That's a question he didn't ask. He just assumed, so he ran with it. And he still verifies a lot of what Doomcocks has said. Okay, now she gets kicked upstairs into Disney, which I'm going to say this, guys. She's not fit for running any office. She's in that respect. Again, she should stick to producing movies or build her own company. Okay, maybe she could have it attached to Disney, but she should not be anywhere near upper management anywhere because she doesn't know how to be a businesswoman at all. And one of the things that you must do as a head of a studio, and George Lucas taught her, is you have to be a good business person. And he's an excellent business person. All right. He's the one that outsmarted Fox with the merchandising rights to Star Wars. Want to know why he got wealthy? Because of the merchandising. He owned all of that. He owned all the licenses. And he made billions and deserved it, by the way. I will never, ever, ever give anybody the side eye because they worked hard and earned their money. And he did. Okay? She could never do that because she doesn't understand it. A good business person says this is creative and they know what their material is if they're a studio head. That's why when you get a script like The Force Awakens, you cringe and say, no, the fans will kill us. This might make a few $1 billion, but A, this movie will not stand the test of time. B, no one's going to want to buy this merchandise. C, the fans are going to end up being really pissed off at us. All that happened. She did not do that once. And when you read about how that movie was made, J.J. Abrams didn't write that script. Larry Kasdan didn't write that script. It was written by suits at Disney. And she let it happen. She did not protect the characters. She did not keep any promise that she made to George. Okay, there's a reason why Bob Iger never mentioned her in his book. Okay? Then when TLJ comes out, that was a first draft script. Who does that? She does. Okay? No reshoots, no redefining Canto Bite, no getting rid of Rose's raging Maoist soliloquy, dressed like Mao's fourth wife. Poor Kelly Marie Tran. God, that was just such a... Every time I think about what Rian Johnson did to her, it makes me want to vomit. It just went out. And it lost, all right. The Force Awakens made 3 billion. The Last Jedi made 1.3, so lost $1 billion. Okay. Rise of Skywalker comes in and just skates over the $1 billion mark because it was a jumbled mess of bullshit and gratuitous fan service. And it was a big fuck you to everybody. It really, really was. When you read about what they wanted to do, and you see what Kennedy forced them to do, because everything is her ideology. Everything, hey, Anton, everything has to be about her belief. Okay? She's not making a movie to entertain us. She's making a movie to change us because we're bad people. We need to learn lessons. Hey, what do you think they're doing with the High Republic? What do you think Pablo Hidalgo does every day? It's offensive to think these people have gotten away with it this long. But you're welcome, Anton. But I gotta say, the idea that they keep her any longer than is necessary is out of what? Again, let's go over it because Anton didn't hear this. Sutton's the only one reporting the rumor. 2, he reported it as fact, not rumor. Strike 2. 3, his press and his resume don't jibe. Okay? 4, when you look at what he said, it suddenly becomes apparent that he's basically repeating a lot of stuff that Doomcocks said, but in a different way. Oh yeah, Senator Dave, it really, really does. But JJ is JJ, and anyway, okay. I mean, again, you can't tell me that what he posted is verifiable fact if he can't say it's verifiable fact. And he can't. He can't. Okay? Now, Doomcock had a really good video, a really, really good one, where he basically just mauled a lot of this. Okay? And I'm going to tell you that I have 2 different theories about this outcome. Either we don't hear anything and her contract just runs out on the 30th or 31st of October, or it's a very quiet report that she's been given a contract extension for a year, specifically to finish Indiana Jones 5. Okay? And then she is going to go off and do other things. That is my other prediction. Okay? It can go either way. But I'm going to say this. I don't think, and I don't believe, and I've never had anybody really convince, you can't convince me that what she's done and that Hollywood is so out of touch that they actually believe this shit, that her movies have been so successful, etc. And that's why. It's like, what the fuck? See, that's the part that just made me go, when Andre read that. No. In the age of COVID, if you're going to tell me that woman was successful, if I'm an investor, like the boss of BlackRock, and I've got the spreadsheets in front of me, and where did he go, to USC? Business school, MBA from USC, and you're trying to tell me that you want to extend her contract, and I'm looking at the fact that Lucasfilm, sure, it grossed 4.9 billion in movie receipts. Grossed. What did it net? You see this little tiny number thing down in red, down on the bottom. That's what it net, about 2 billion. Then you've got how much the company and the investors invested in Lucasfilm. 4.3. That's the buying, not price. Then at least another 3 to 4 billion in the parks and other things. So all told, Disney the investors invested about $8 billion or more into Lucasfilm and Star Wars. And all they've got to show for it is about $2 billion. If I'm the boss at BlackRock, I am like, you can't bring her back. She doesn't know what she's doing. Look at all the money that's been lost. All the billions that have been left on the table because she doesn't know what she's doing. She's incompetent. Now, the people in Hollywood that run AFI and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts, etc., might think the sun rises and sets out of her colon. I don't care. Here's the deal. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about either. Again, you find me somebody that's woke in Hollywood, Kathy Griffin, Elizabeth Banks, Barbara Streisand, Mark Ruffalo, Robert Redford, etc., and you can convince me that they're business people right up there with Henry Ford and, you know, Elon Musk. All right, they're not. But the people who run the hedge funds and the investment banks, that was just a name I picked out, Anton. But the people who run the investment banks and the hedge funds, they are good business people. They are. And they're looking at the money lost, the fact that they have not regained their investment. And they are pissed. Okay? Part of the reason why Chapek can stand there and weather all this bullshit going around him is because the investors see what he's trying to do and are very, very positive on him. And I don't blame them. They should be positive on him. I blame anybody that, you know, and I'm going to say this. Guys, if you want to give up on Star Wars, then do it. But don't come here and tell me. All right? If you're not, if you don't think it's worth fighting for, then nothing in your opinion, in your life is worth fighting for. Okay? And I don't fucking want to hear it. Okay? I've been here. I'm not leaving. And we're winning this fight, whether you think so or not. To the EU people, especially the one in the casino chat, I don't, as a Star Wars fan, have any fucks to give about your opinion on the EU or Star Wars. Being a miserable person does not give you the right to make everybody else miserable. Okay, the EU is great. It's way better than what we've got. But even when all this is said and done, you are not going to get your precious EU word for word up on the screen. It's impossible. It can't be done. Okay, it just can't be done. So you can accept it, enjoy what's out there that's good. Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett looks fantastic. Kenobi sounds like it's going to be great. Ahsoka is, you know, whatever. They're going to start filming Mando season 3 soon. We got a lot to look forward to. But if you're such a sad sack person that you want to see Disney fail, and it won't, so I'm sorry to tell you that, but it won't. You know, I got nothing to say to you. Okay, I really, really don't. I don't want to hear it. Okay. To the people who say they're fans but insist KK's staying, but don't have any proof. They just want to sit there and piss everybody off. You want attention? Is that what all this is about? You want clickbait for your rage, for your fanboy rage porn? Hey, you know, go for it. I'm not going to go there. Again, you're not helping solve the problem. You're making it worse. Okay? You're not trying to figure out a solution. You're not thinking. All right, this is where I depart from Yoda. Search your feelings. Feelings are irrational, and they're subjected to each person. Okay? Here, you don't. Okay? You sit there and you look at the numbers. You look at the financial stuff. Now, again, Hollywood people may or may not pay attention to that. They should, because there are people coming in right now that do. Okay, Chapek, Zaslav, who they're terrified of. He makes stuff that people want to watch. The Discovery Corporation is a multi-billion dollar entity. Okay? The reason why is because people love what he's doing. Excuse me. It is time for you all to understand that Hollywood will be changing for the better. They got to make money. They're not going to survive. It is not going to look the way it has. Back in the 80s, we still had studio heads that cared about box office. There were people that made politically political motivated movies. We didn't go to see them, and yeah, we know SEO. That's kind of that's kind of implied here. Then in the 90s, you start seeing changes. More nihilism in the movies American Beauty, The English Patient, a lot of nihilism. The people that are in charge now were starting to get more in charge. You saw still good movies being made, Braveheart, God, Air Force One, Patriot Games. I liked Clear and Present Danger. I don't care. Hey, Kev. The Devil's Own, which is, oh God, that's a good movie. There were lots of really good movies that came out in the 90s. You still had that need to make a good narrative story. Then, as the 2000s rolled in, more nihilism showed up. Okay, but they were still making good movies. The Dark Knight, Gladiator. There were, lots of them. Okay, then 2012, and that's when this all started crashing and burning, because people who were politically motivated and not creatively motivated got power. That's when you saw the SGW shit start. Okay, all right. That's when you saw it starting. We need representation, and it has hurt the bottom line of the studios. It has hurt everything from TV, the CW, to movies, to feature films, because people don't want it. And somewhere, someplace, a bunch of investors got together and said, this cannot stand. I am not going to spend another dime on this company until they fix this problem. Or we need to tell them we're not going to. Which might not have happened, but it's coming out in play. Zaslav was picked for a reason. Okay, because Discovery Channel caters to what the fans want. It is distribution minded. Okay. JPEG scares the hell out of him because he is distribution minded. He has said so. Merchandise and content that fans want. Okay. Again, do I have to tell you about the wall of rays from The Last Jedi? It's there. It was there, waiting for some idiot collector to part with his coin on them. There you go. Okay, there it is. And that's what's going on here with Kennedy. All right, you have a woman who's lost control over the company she is running. She paid no attention to what the mice were doing. I think SEO has every right to believe that. Because I believe it. All right? No idea what she was doing. She let a story group do whatever the fuck they wanted as long as it was social justice and representation and all the rest of that shit bitch like that wants. She was incompetent in producing movies. Paid no attention to Solo until it was almost too late. Okay. Didn't watch the dailies. You can't tell me that's a good studio head if she's so blasé about a $25 million movie, $225 million movie that is being produced under her name. She's so blasé she can't be bothered to watch the dailies. They would have been better if they had the Marx Brothers running Lucasfilm at this point. At least they cared about what product they were putting out there. You understand why I'm saying this now? I don't buy Mike Sutton's little story because it doesn't make any sense considering what we've seen in the press. And the fact that, well, the Hollywood doesn't care and they hate us and I don't care about that. The investors want money. I don't give a shit if they're a bunch of bleeding heart, left-wing Maoists who worship Satan at night in Hollywood. Ultimately, they're at the mercy of the people who invest in the companies they run and are a part of. And if they want that investment to continue, they have to change. And if they can't change, they're out, which is exactly what is happening with Kennedy and will happen with Feige. I predict Shang-Chi crashes and burns. I predict the Eternals crashes and burns, and I predict Feige's contract will not be renewed. That's what I predict. That's a prediction of mine. And the reason is this. There is no clamor for either of these movies. Shang-Chi might be really good. I'm not going to go see it. I have no fucks to give. I'm not a Marvel fan. And that kind of movie just makes me want to go to curl up under a bench somewhere and sleep. You know, and the Eternals. You know, it's the same thing with He-Man, Kevin Smith. You know, he doesn't realize that that the people telling him what to do aren't the ones in charge. You're right, Senator Dave. They're not the ones in charge. The people that invest in Netflix are. And they've seen their subscriber base go down. And that's telling. And I guarantee you, there's somebody in an investment bank going, we need to talk to them about this. I don't like this. And my clients are pissed. Okay. You know, but this is what people like Kennedy need. They need to look at these hard asses with the briefcases and little specs in their, $2,000 Italian suits or Savile Row suits and be scared shitless. Because he who holds Quan rules the world. And they're only as wealthy as the people who hold the Quan allow them to be. Okay? And they have been getting away with far too much. And when I look at what's going on, Bob Chapek, the only thing he's worried about is making the investors happy. And the last earnings call looked pretty damn good for Disney. Looked better than it had. Okay. I'm looking forward to a lot of what's going on right now with the Book of Boba Fett. And I'm going to tell you guys something. Hear any leaks from the Boba Fett set? No. Kenobi said no. Why? Because they're happy making the movie and the TV shows. When they're miserable, you get leaks everywhere, which is why we all knew through Doomcock what Tross was going to look like. Okay? Which is why we kind of knew beforehand that The Last Jedi might be horrific. Okay? Which is why we all knew that The Force Awakens was going to suck ass. Okay? People weren't happy on the set. Happy people don't leak. Jon Favreau knows what he's doing in that circumstance, and so does Dave Filoni. And again, to the people, the EU fans, I'm an EU fan, but I have some problems with it. And I'm very happy with getting things from the EU because it's better than what we got. But when you sit there and shit on everything good that Disney's put out, how the fuck are they going to know? How the fuck are they going to know about what is good if you're shitting on everything they do? That's a question that you need to decide. And I really think a lot of people really are so wrapped up in their own emotions and their own fifis that the world revolves around them. And it doesn't. Again, my criteria is get rid of Kennedy and decanonize the sequel trilogy. Fix Han, Leia, and Luke. Period. Full stop. Period. Okay? Did I mention Gina anywhere? No, I didn't. Why? Because it doesn't matter. Her character, great character. What they did to her was wrong. I was one of the first people out there screaming my head off about it. But you know what? In the end, focusing on her hurts the cause. Okay? It hurts the cause. Now, do I think she'll be back? Yeah, I do. I think she'll be back. In what capacity? I don't know. If she's smart, she won't burn bridges. Okay? But as far as the Mikey Sutton rumor goes, if it's anything, it's rehashing the Reddit leak, which is probably where he got it. And it kind of solidifies things that Doomcock has said in a way. Go watch Doomcock's video if you haven't. He pretty much goes into full-on rant mode, and I don't blame him. Okay. Do I put any stock in Sutton? He's a nice guy. I've liked what he said. He said on a few occasions, but I don't trust him. I don't think he's being honest here. I don't think he put the right amount of work into this before saying anything to anybody. But anyway, I gotta go. This is Steph. See you guys around the galaxy.